Hi, I'm Ryan McKeen.
And I'm Marisa Rua.
Welcome to this very special Para-Era episode of The Way.
Welcome to The Way, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of legal business and marketing. Each week, we'll be discussing the latest trends, strategies, and insights that are shaping the legal industry. So whether you're a lawyer, marketer, or business owner in the legal industry, this podcast is for you.
Hey, Marisa, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And you?
I am doing fantastic. I am especially fantastic. I'm wearing a Pearl Jam concert shirt, but you got me a Metallica concert shirt. And so I go out in public and I wear that shirt and people are just like, they give me the metal sign and I just give them the metal sign right back. So it is a great Metallica shirt. It is black, like it is 1980s. Mm-hmm. It is fantastic. I need to wear it. It needs to get broken in, needs some holes in it.
Yep.
But fantastic shirt. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Very welcome.
So you have been spending the past few months really building up Para-Era for a big summer and fall push to really revolutionize and change the game for law firms and paralegals. What have you been up to?
I've been building courses, live courses that you will be able to purchase and have live Q&As with me to ask any questions, building those out, really getting our Para-Era Slack community up and running. Please join. Love to see you on there.
And let's pause with like the vision for community because we have our best era Slack community and it's awesome. Like we have 300 plus members from all over the world and it's a positive community. Like there is so much toxicity. There is so much, cattiness that can go on in law firms, backstabbing, and people feeling like they don't have support. And the same is true for lawyers as it is for other legal professionals. And so our goal is to create a community that's supportive, that's helpful, that's positive. And we do that through moderation. We have clear terms when you join as to like what we're going to tolerate and what we're not. And it's almost like your presence or your essence attracts your presence, like in a big way. And so when a community is positive, because I'm fascinated by the paralegal subreddit and I read that and it's so sad.
Yeah.
Like it is sad. The workers are sad. Their situations are sad. Yeah. And, that sort of negativity is a lot. And not that it's going to be like toxically positive, but a space where, people are uplifted.
Yeah. And I think for, our Slack community, Best Era Slack community, a lot of questions that we get are questions that the attorneys don't really have a higher level person to ask. So they come to us and they ask the rest of the community. So the Para-Era Slack community is going to be much similar in the sense that you don't have to run to Reddit and try to get a question answered the same day at your desk. You can go through in our Slack and ask me, ask everybody else in the group. And as paralegals, we can help each other just the same as our Best Era group.
Yeah, and it's really a time in legal where the technology is evolving so quickly. Mm-hmm. And even the skills that were maybe valuable a year ago, 2 years ago, are going to be less valuable in the future. Right. Things like maybe doing interrogatories or doing med chronologies. A lot of things are going to be automated. But it's like, look, I take a lot of flights. I assume autopilot does a lot, but you need a pilot who's got hundreds of hours of experience, who's been trained by professional trainers, who's been exposed to curriculum to run that plane and to make it go smoothly. And I think the same is true for law. So paralegals and other legal professionals and lawyers aren't going to go away. They're going to be able to do much more. Right. But they have to know what to do. So it's really the experience plus the technology that is going to really make life, I think, a lot better for everyone, clients, paralegals. But, it's very hard for firms to get that experience. At least in our market, many of the paralegals fall into sort of two buckets, one of which is like very near retirement.
Yes.
Like 65, 70, they've been at it for a long time. They've worked with the same lawyer forever. Like that is that. And also a younger cohort. I would say an under 30 cohort who is looking to learn. Yeah. And then the middle, I don't know where they are. And so, if you're a firm, the challenge is you need that experience, right? But how do you get it? Are you taking your best paralegals to train other paralegals? Have you spent hundreds of hours developing a formal training program? Have you done these things? Mm-hmm. And so it's a very hard thing to get to. Right. And we really think with Para-Era, we're trying to solve that critical problem, which is ultimately going to make firms happier and more profitable.
Right. And with the training, we had a great question in our community the other day that I just want to point out, because the question was to either hire an experienced paralegal for lit or somebody that doesn't really have experience, but they don't really have time to train them. And my response back to that was, if you do not have the time to invest in your training or have the tools in place for when they start, they can learn through a curriculum or whatever the case may be, you need to hire for experience. And what I had stated back was that your best paralegal is going to be the go-to, and then ultimately have to be the person to answer the questions and train this person. And it's near impossible for that paralegal to, especially in litigation, working in PI, it's nearly impossible for them to focus on their caseload, what they have to get done, all while training somebody else and having that person shadow. Yes, it can be done, but that person's not going to learn what they need to do. And the paralegal that is senior is going to have to take on much more than what they should. Their caseload would be much more.
And ultimately, like we see this in sports, the best players don't always make the best coaches. Like they're different skill sets. So just because somebody's really good at something doesn't mean that they're able to teach it. It is a separate skill. And keep in mind, plenty of people who are good at things are also good at teaching them, but it's not necessarily the default. Like Michael Jordan, amazing basketball player, as a coach. I mean, it just works out that way because they're not experienced. They're not trained in teaching. Like teaching is an art and a science in and of itself, right? Yeah. And I can tell you, if you're out there, your training sucks. We work with lots of law firms. Some law firms have highly developed training, and that's amazing. But these are like the 0.01% of the world. Some firms give it some lip service, like the owner put together a training over a weekend one time, and it hasn't been updated in 6 years. But most law firms, it's basically sink or swim, and hey, shadow this person, and you're leaving a lot on the table. You're creating a lot of anxiety for the person. You're not setting them up to succeed. I think it's especially true because, now the tools of AI and that are everywhere, that are into Microsoft products, into Google products, let alone into case management like FileVine. Like you're seeing, things like hallucinations. Mm-hmm. And so how do you guard against that? Like, how do you prevent that? How do you know when to use that? Because you have to be. I think the economics of it, you have to be, because if you're not, your competitors are going to use it. Mm-hmm. They're going to be a lot more efficient. They're going to do things a lot faster. They're going to get better results. And that money's going to go back into marketing, which is going to buy them more share. Right. So it's like, you can't just, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to ignore that. Like that's not going to work for you. Right. But you need those skilled people who understand those things at that point, which is why I am so optimistic about Para-Era and about what's to come and about how it is that, we are building this, which is online classes. That's one option. You can buy into that. You're going to get amazing materials. You're going to get amazing classes. You're going to get community. You're going to get all of those things, right? Group training, individual training. Those are the kinds of different levels that firms of different needs are going to get. And I can't think of anything out there where it's like, okay, you've got a comprehensive program designed by a very skilled paralegal. Some assist, I've got to record my classes as well about working with a lawyer, about dealing with angry clients, and about some of the AI stuff I've got to work on for paralegals. But I think it's such a needed solution out there.
It's extremely needed in our worlds. Back to the firms that either don't have training or they have really great training and they're one in, a million. A lot of law firms think they have great training. And I will tell you that your paralegals, your new hires, are probably not agreeing with what you believe is good training. And not to say that you don't try, but I've started at firms that say, we have an extensive onboarding and, you're going to sit with this person's going to have your time for this, and you're going to go sit with this person. More than half the time, it never works out that way. The person has to constantly reschedule because maybe they are working on a trial prep that just happened to come up the week before you started, and they can't dedicate that initial time that they were intending to. And then that slowly gets pushed back, and the new hires asking around because the person they were supposed to train was unavailable. And then it just kind of falls off the radar, and that person never really gets the initial training. So I would say that I think it's important for firms to constantly be looking into how their training is going with their new hires. And most of the time, it might not be honest feedback because they're nervous. They want to make you believe that everything is great. And we used to do anonymous surveys, ask them if they need outside training. I think that outsourcing is the biggest benefit you can get for your team, existing and new, because you're not taking anybody's time away. Cases are getting settled faster. I'm coming in on the back end, or they're getting our courses, and now it's just the new hire that is taken away from cases that they don't even have to handle yet.
I think that really raises several points, Marisa, which is, first of all, this is para-design training.
Right.
And so about a year ago, I was asked by Brett Tremblay at Virtual Case Managers to help build out a virtual case manager training. Mm-hmm. Brett is a lawyer. I was working with a bunch of non-lawyers on the team. And I don't even say legal professionals. They were just, they came from backgrounds in business and marketing and different things. And they were asking me to build out the training, which, okay, I grew up as a lawyer. I was a solo, and I did everything from intake to discover. Like, I have done every aspect of a PI case. I haven't done every aspect of it for many years. They would ask me about things as I was developing the program. I would be like, you have to understand, I'm not a paralegal.
Right.
I did not do this job.
Right.
I have understandings of it, just like maybe a paralegal has understandings of trial, but not on the level of a trial lawyer.
Yep.
And just as paralegals are legal, like, I don't have the same level of absolute understanding about how to open up a Medicare portal. Okay. Right. I just don't. Yeah. So having it designed by the paras and not the lawyer is, I think, very critical. Yeah. I also think as a firm owner, we used to do this, which is that there's some magic to this, right? I would say things over and over and over and over again, and people go, Dad. I mean, like, it's just like my kids, like they don't listen and they tune it out. But then we would bring in outside people to come in and do things. And the outside people would say the same thing I was saying, which is why I brought them in, because they agreed with my worldview. And then people will go, oh, wow. Okay, so having
Ryan, why didn't you ever tell us about that?
Right. But having it come from like the outside perspective, like, gives it a lot of credibility. So if you're looking to do that. And, the third thing is that last week I demoed some PI AI products. We did the Speed AI intake, which was amazing. David and Hayden Haskins have built something really, really cool with it. Mm-hmm. Like, this is changing really, really fast. So the need for technical adaptation and changes to workflows and awareness of how to do it has never, ever been greater. Yep. And oftentimes, and like we did this once, we hired a paralegal, a litigation paralegal, had been at, some of Connecticut's best firms, plaintiff and defense, a lot of experience. Mm-hmm. Smart, knew the practice book, knew the rules. We had shown this paralegal how we worked and our file line and our case management. So it was like, here's what you're getting into. And then a week into it, she says, I need paper files. I have not had paper since 2012. Like, there is no copy machine in this office. Like, that is not something that we can do. And she's like, well, I can't work here. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, it's not a fit. And off she went. I don't even remember her name. But I remember I was at counsel table during trial and I was just like, bye-bye. But it was fine. I mean, like, it's not sad. It wasn't a fit. So
can't adapt.
So just even though that person has that experience, they're not going to be a fit, maybe not a fit for a modern firm that is deploying some of this technology that is changing very quickly. Yep. So, and it's not to say maybe if we had a training program this to help transition this person to a paperless environment, or, we weren't using AI, but like different things at that point, maybe we could have saved that. We didn't have that in place, right? So it just ended the conversation with, I need paper files. So there's opportunities on both ends, to make things better, because there's a huge cost to hiring somebody and it not working out. Because generally when firms hire, they hire because they should have hired somebody 4 months ago.
Right.
And then they, oh my gosh, I have to hire. They hire somebody, and then it takes them another 3 months or so to get their legs under them. Mm-hmm. So now 6-7 months has gone by. Yep. And if you miss on that hire, you're starting the same cycle over. Yeah. So it's like, you don't want to be doing that.
Yeah. And a very important, I think, area that we might not really talk about a lot, I think, is that the training is not just for new hires either. Like with advancing in AI and all of these things in technology, I get questions all the time, and they're from paralegals or our virtual case managers. Shout out to Brett, shout out to virtual case managers, but they're always, is there a better way to do this? Do you know an easier solution? Do you know, how I could streamline this better? So I think it's very important for firms to know that, like, training and educating your team on the future of law for everyone, lawyers and paralegals, legal assistants, get them the training that they need for all of that. And with AI being so scary, a lot of your paralegals are going to feel like their jobs might be on the line, because you might be doing, the attorneys, the lawyers, they might be doing more work now through AI that they would just typically delegate. So maybe your team is feeling like, wow, I'm not getting as many tasks that I used to, and why are they just taking it? Did I do something wrong? Be very transparent with your team and still delegate those things, but let them learn how to do it through the way that you are, whether it be an AI feature, but very important for not just new hires.
I mean, the reality is, and this is true, I'm very into the AI and like the subreddits, and I'm very into the impacts of what AI has like societally, and a lot of creative subreddits of like videographers. They're like, my job as like working at a movie studio is gone. Yeah. I did sound editing and AI does it better than me. Yeah. A lot of coders are like, my job is gone. Mm-hmm. Architects, engineers, and you're seeing like tech layoffs, like and that's not going to stop. And that is true in legal. Goldman Sachs, where they're investing money, they estimate within 5 years, 40% of legal jobs will be gone.
Right.
It doesn't mean legal jobs aren't going to be here.
Right.
It's critically important for firms to have the right people who are trained flying those planes. Right. It's very critical for paralegals to develop the skills if they want to stay in the field, mm-hmm. that they're one of the 60%. Yeah. Because, if you're average and you're not adapting and you're not efficient, like you are going, just go look for another job. I mean, really at this point, like you're going to be done. But what it's going to allow good paralegals and good firms to do is do more work with less headache, do it better, engage in higher level tasks. Yeah. So some of your work is going to be eliminated. And that is true for lawyers. That is true for a lot of what I call the laptop class. Right. Like it's true for consulting. Yeah. But I think about us, and I think about Best Era, and I think, no, that's an opportunity, because we don't need to be a massive firm. Right. We can use different tools. We can build tools that allow us to serve people better at a better price point, and also allow us to not have to work 80 hours a week going through relatively mundane things. So I think sort of one more thing about why I'm so excited about this is, I left the firm a year ago. And one of my fears doing consulting is that I was going to like lose my edge. Yeah. I was going to not know what was going on. Yeah. And the flip is true. Like I'm on calls with vendors and leaders in the industry, and we're out at Filevine sitting with their futures team in their conference room going over things. So I'm able to get a deeper understanding because I'm out there. But whereas a firm owner, I was buried with administrative tasks and firm tasks and drama and all those things that can go on. But having the ability for us to understand what's coming, to prepare firms for that, I think is critical.
That's exactly what the next point I was going to bring up is that if you're not a future forward firm and you don't, relay all of these AI tools and stuff to your team, I guarantee you most of your legal staff, like your paralegals, your legal assistants, they have no idea how advanced it really is right now. So they can't even prepare themselves for what may come because they don't know. I'm fortunate enough to work at Best Era and have all of these wonderful opportunities going to Filevine and sitting with their futurist team and going to case status and learning, all these things, HONA's conference, all of these things. I'm fortunate enough to be able to see what's coming. And from a paralegal's perspective, there are so many amazing tools out there. And I don't just say these because I'm trying to promote any one company. I'm serious that there are so many tools that will make your team so happy, but you have to be able to allow them to receive this information. It's not out, like if you look on, for lawyers it is. You go to conferences, you learn about this stuff, you come back, you kind of forget about the conference. But if you look online, there's not many things dedicated to paralegals about what the future is for them. But there's tons for attorneys, there's tons for court, there's tons for judges, but not for us. So I hope to, kind of push it more and be the voice for your team and let them know, like, these are the tools that are coming and you should probably start looking into them. Like, be prepared. Like, what technology do you already use? Okay, well, I can tell you that it's going to, advance a lot more in the next 6 months or whatever the case may be. And this is what's coming. Prepare yourself for that and start learning it before it needs to go into effect at your firm.
And also know what skills are going to be more valuable. Yeah. Things like organizing medical bills and receipts, like that's gone. Yeah. Okay. And it's important. Like, but you can upload a PDF to any number of these services, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and you can have it spit out a spreadsheet that's going to be accurate. So like, okay, if that's your bailiwick, like there's other jobs. If there are, you have to be thinking about things like understanding how to make strategic decisions in cases.
Yes.
Understanding how to understand what the limitations of the technology are that you're using. Understand how to verify what is accurate. So, if you do interrogatories and you use an AI, make sure that is linking to, make sure that you're reading, have it cross-check itself. Those kinds of things are very, very, very important because it's not perfect. Also know that your client service skills are going to be more important. Mm-hmm. Those kinds of calls and updates, all of that is going to be more important.
The investigating aspect of, cases is now a lot more with ChatGPT. I mean, I still handle a few cases with Ryan at McKeen Law Firm, and I begged him for the paralegal job. I'm just kidding.
I was like, Marisa, I need some help.
I was itching. I'm like, can I help you? Please. But so we got a case, there was a multi-car collision, and I got photos from our client, and I knew what car he was driving, but the police report wasn't ready yet. I was trying to figure out insurance stuff. So I have this picture of these cars, and they're kind of just like smushed together, and you can't see the front or the back of the car. I can only see like a portion of the front side. And I'm like, I have no idea which car this is. So I was like, let me see if ChatGPT can tell me. I uploaded the photo to ChatGPT and I said, can you please tell me the make and model of this vehicle? It was like, oh, it's a 2016 Hyundai Santa Fe, blah, blah. And so I Googled images of that exact car and I was like, oh my God.
Yep.
That's the car. So now, instead of waiting possibly weeks for me to get the police report to then figure out whose insurance is what for what car, I can now send the LORs out that day instead. So that part of our jobs is kind of dwindling back, which means you're streamlining cases faster, which also means you're probably going to be able to take on more cases. But without this knowledge, you're going to be 10 steps behind, whereas another paralegal at your firm may be a little bit more advanced in technology and whatnot, and they're doing what I did. And now your team is like, why can she do it faster? And, like, why is it taking you so long because you're just doing the way you've always done it. So I think that's very important too. It's like knowing that these tools are very impressive.
It speaks to the fact, like, the modeling should be that there will be fewer people helping more people, and the people doing the work will also be paid more. That to me is like the economics, because it is like a plane. You still need two pilots. Like, I am never getting on a Airbus A330 with one pilot. Like, that is not happening, or no pilots. I'm not there yet. Maybe someday we'll have robot pilots, but not today. And I think the same is true for paralegals. So figuring out how to make yourself valuable, but also if you're a firm, like figuring out, like today I was working in our lawyer Slack community about building there was a whole issue about like privacy and using Medcrons and using ChatGPT and do I use Supio or Eve? And I was playing with Google Gemini because it hooks into Google Drive, and building what they call a gem, which is what a ChatGPT calls a GPT, which is a bot, to make medical chronologies based upon documents there. And, I did it once and it wasn't perfect, but I can go back and I can say, no, here's a better example.
Right.
Do this. I can train that relatively easy. So if you're at a firm and you've got these mundane tasks that are important, like even just know, and it's not hard technology. Like, it's all, hey, do this.
Right.
Then it's like, well, I didn't do it right. Oh, well, do it this way, right? It's not like you need to code. And so your ability to actually think about inventions to the problems that you're having and solve them, the sort of gap between idea and execution is small. You have to have a little bit of knowledge. You have to have some confidence. You have to know some limitations. And those legal professionals, those lawyers are going to be so valuable to firms, because I can tell you, you're listening to this, and if you made it this far, you're going to be one of the survivors. There's going to be, a million legal professionals out there not listening to this, and they're going to be doing Instacart. Like, no shame.
Sink, not swim.
Yeah,
and there's always going to be the need for the person behind the AI, the chatbot, the ChatGPT, whatever you use. There's always going to be a need for the person behind it. Maybe you're not the person putting the information in. Maybe it's the attorney, but somebody needs to review it. You can't just take it for its word, because it does make errors. It does hallucinate, as they say. And sometimes it pulls fake information in there. So you have to be very, very careful about what you're having ChatGPT draft for you and reviewing it. So I think that's also something to know, is that if you're great at when an attorney drafts something and they always send it to you for revisions because you're an A+ student in English, they're going to need you still. But you have to adapt with seeing how ChatGPT or whatever AI feature you use drafts things, because you'll see common wording and it might repeat itself, or, you might want to change that to sound more like a human or nicer or not as flat. So there's always going to be a need for the person behind, but that person needs to know where the future is for us, AI.
Yeah, and I think that's the space that Para is occupying, is going to continue to occupy. My sort of vision for building this is to make it a no-brainer. I would have hired this service in a second if it existed. It didn't exist, so we built it. Marisa's been doing a lot of consulting with firms, learning what they need, supporting the virtual case managers, building out material. So a lot of thought has gone into this from people who have done it. Marisa's been a paralegal for a number of years. I've been a PI lawyer. We're familiar with all of this, and we are so excited for this. We know your firms are going to be excited. Your clients are going to be excited. You're going to have happier firms, more profitable firms, happier clients, and you can do more of the things you love.
And for all of the paralegals out there in PI, or you could use it even if you're not, that's fine. Paralegal planner.
Oh, yeah.
I gotcha.
It's a ridiculously nice planner.
Yes. And I spent tons of time putting it together. the layout, everything that's included it's amazing.
And it's not digital, it's old school.
Yeah, it's old school.
So
like I still have 2 notebooks that I use like to this day for everything. Training, consulting.
The first planner that we know, designed by paralegals, by a paralegal for paralegals, and very excited about that. And so Brittany and I always close these shows by talking about what it is that you're watching, listening to, enjoying.
Yeah.
Reading.
So I just watched the 3-episode documentary on Tylenol murders.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
This is like in the 80s where people, this is why we have like the seals.
Cyanide poisoning.
Yeah. Cyanide poisoning.
Yep, I just watched that documentary. Pretty good. Still, they don't know who it was. But
that's why we have the seals and all the things, right?
But they were even putting it in there afterwards. Somebody was purchasing them, putting it in, and then bringing it, like not returning it, just putting it back on the shelf. Yeah. Scary stuff.
Well, yeah, that is scary. Well, I've been watching the Red Sox lose, so they I went into this season high hopes that they had a World Series caliber team, and they couldn't hit a baseball with a surfboard right now, and they're all getting hurt. And like last night was just it was 1-1 in the 10th, and the Brewers had a walk-off grand slam. 5-1 loss. Like they need to win that game. Yeah. They don't. Nevertheless, I as a loyal fan, I root for them. And Boston, having been a Patriots fan and a Red Sox fan for the past 5 years, it's been a little rough. Before that, it was amazing, but I can't complain. But I look forward. Hopefully the Red Sox turn it around. If not, hopefully the Patriots aren't terrible. But we shall see. Till next time.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Way with Best Era. Be sure to visit our website, bestera.io. From there, get more resources, insights, and to connect with us directly. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. That way you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep striving for your version of success.